Hello there. So today is day 6 of our self-quarantine that is now turned into a shelter in place. And I'm enjoying doing these lives and getting your feedback. And hopefully this is helping some of you that are getting a little cabin fever. So yesterday we talked all about 5 tips to create a schedule for success from home. And today I'm going to be diving into 5 ways to stay mentally healthy and to reduce stress. Now, obviously, this can be used all of the time, but it's especially important right now when we are in close quarters and living again in this new normal that is constantly evolving. So it's going to be 5 quick tips today, but I'm also going to link some podcast episodes. So if you want to dig in further into any of these topics, or if one of them is really feeling like, ooh, that's what I need right now, that you can dive in further on any of them. So thing number 1 is realizing like this really is about you. And I don't mean COVID-19 or the pandemic, but your state and your ability to feel calmer, your ability to be mentally healthy and reduce stress really does start with you. So a few things about that is make sure you are doing self-care. You know, so many of us feel that we often live this fast-paced, hectic life. And right now, everything is grinded to a halt, or at least to a slower pace. And so there is an art to this slow living. And I know for me, I have a tendency to get myself very busy, try to stay productive, but often busy. And right now, like, embrace the art of slow living. So self-care could be a bath. It could be giving yourself a face mask at home. And it doesn't have to just be body related though. That also can mean that you give yourself time alone, especially if you're living with other people and you're in close quarters, which is not maybe the norm. Make sure you are scheduling in that time to read a fiction book or do something that just helps you relax and feel good. And understand that one thing about mental state is it does start with a decision. Now, I'm not talking about cases of mental illness, but I want to give you a comparison. If you have the mindset that I am going to struggle through this because of this situation that I have no control over and it's not my fault and it's not fair, if you have that mindset, this is going to be rough, okay? It's going to be challenging regardless. But if you instead embrace the mindset that I am going to choose to to thrive and succeed despite the challenges going on, your experience of whatever the next couple of weeks or months may be is going to be dramatically different. Because remember, pressure creates diamonds. So if you think about this time in our life, it's going to be absolutely in our personal history. You think about it 30 or 40 years later, do you want to be the crankety, crotchety, curmudgeon old grump who looks this time and is always like, this is what happened when I was however old? Or do you want to be that person that's like, I have lived through things and that are incredible and they've given me perspective that is so valuable? Hopefully that one. All right, number 2, meditation and practice gratitude. Now, this is not anything new and it's not revolutionary. A lot of us have been thinking about it, or maybe we've been doing it, but not consistently. But I will say, if someone told us that we could do something for 3 minutes a day that would lower anxiety, improve our sleep, make us happy, healthy, and more confident, would you do that? Well, of course you would, especially right now. All of us have a little bit more time in the day when we're not commuting or leaving the house. So that 3 minutes is gratitude. And practicing gratitude, it has physical and psychological and social benefits, even if you're social distancing. And you can do it in such a short amount of time. I have a 5-minute gratitude journal I love, but also even 3 to 5 minutes of meditation, of slowing down the thoughts and creating some space inside of our brains is a really good thing right now. Let's talk number 3 about input equals output. So we need to watch what we're feeding ourselves. Now, obviously that starts with our body. Things like caffeine, sugar, alcohol, they tend to not make us feel so great. I mean, maybe for an hour, but ultimately they really detract away from our overall state. So just watch the amounts you're drinking or eating, and look to herbs for stress reduction. I use an herb called Ionics. I will link that. It's not really an herb. It's a botanical beverage, but it has 7 different herbs that help the body adapt to stress. So if you have in your pantry access to things like ashwagandha, shilajit, rhodiola. Those are all herbs that in their natural environments went through great stress and they thrived through it. So that is a great time right now to be watching how you can use herbs. Now, depending on what state you're in, I'm not talking necessarily about the type that you smoke. I'm just talking about like teas. And then lastly, just make sure that you're checking in with yourself, as far as that input output. Ask yourself, check in if you're not feeling great, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling overwhelmed. First of all, when you determine what it was that made you feel that way, don't beat yourself up. Use it as a way to learn and move forward. But just ask, am I being relaxed in this moment? Does watching this or doing this or eating this support me in feeling good? How can I be more relaxed in this moment? Check in with yourself. Tip or way number 4 is to create space and create clarity. And I'm going to share an entire episode about this. But understand that empty space or spaciousness is not just physical, it's also mental. So if you are feeling really overwhelmed by all the things you have to do, homeschooling your kids, keeping the house clean, trying to keep up on your work at work, and everything else, do a brain dump. Literally, it's like closing browsers on in your computer. Just take a piece of paper, write down everything that you think that you need to do, and then chunk them together into different categories and determine what is really important and focus on that. Secondly is do a physical spring clean. This is a great time. We are home. Plan an hour that you maybe would have been commuting and go through and clean out those cabinets. Create more order in your life. There is something about doing something that gives an immediate result that feels so good and it makes you feel in control. So whether that's cleaning the kitchen, disinfecting things, going through your clothes. I have been living for the last 6 days in basically a weekend bag because we left our house. And right now I'm living in a capsule wardrobe. And I'm like, wow, I could really do this. When I eventually do get back to my house, it is time to totally do a closet clean out. And then number 5 is really to get grounded. Whew. And this is when you're probably maybe feeling the most out of control or the most stressed. It's when you see that latest news flash and you're just like, oh. So a few things you can do to get grounded, and I'll link a podcast episode to also hear about 5 ways to get grounded, is things like getting into nature. When you start to feel a little bit less important, when we get into nature, we're like, wow, we're such a small piece of it, but there's also just this beauty to that of not feeling like every single thing we do is going to affect us. It's about realizing that we will be here for a while, but Earth will be here even longer, especially if we treat it well. So get into nature, lay on the ground, take your shoes off, walk through the grass or the sand or the dirt or wherever you are. Move your body, 5 minutes even, skipping, jumping, push-ups, anything to get your body producing those feel-good hormones, and focus on your breath. They say fear is excitement without breath. Now, a lot of what we're going through right now could definitely generate fear. But when you breathe into it, you oxygenate your brain, I promise you will feel so much better.